guys, welcome to Unravel Me. I'm Anna, and today I thought it would be fun to show you my favorite way of doing increases, and I don't actually see it that often in patterns, but it's one that I tend to do, and it's the lifted left and right increases. There's two different ways to do them. I'll show you the one that's my favorite. I think it looks the best, and it still tends to be pretty invisible or give just a really lovely looking increase pattern. And I want to show you on both the knit and purl side. So let's get started. Okay, I thought this might be a little easier to demonstrate with some stitch markers, so I've gone ahead and placed two stitch markers, which are now surrounding our center stitch and our two increase stitches. So once again, we are going to now knit up to where we want to increase, and we want it to be inside these stitch markers. Basically, we want this to be creating like a little bit and spreading these pieces out. So we are going to start with, again, our left leaning increase. So we're going to knit the stitch. We can go ahead and slip that marker. And if you can see that yarn, that strand of yarn that's below the stitch, you're going to pick that up and knit into it. Knit across. So now we want a right leaning increase, so that it's going to be between these markers again. And you don't knit this next stitch. You're going to pick up from the back that stitch below it, and here's where it can be nice having a stitch marker if you want, because then you can just kind of hold it open. Or you can put it on your needle, whichever you like. Knit it. Slide your marker, and then you're knitting that next stitch. So now you have two stitches coming out of one stitch from below. Let's go ahead and practice that one more time so that you can get a feel for it. We're going to knit up to the stitch marker. Now this stitch in front of it is actually the one that we're knitting into, the stitch here. But we knit it for the left leaning lifted increase. And this bar right here is what we're going to be picking up. So let's slip that stitch marker, come in from behind, and lift that bar and knit into it. Okay, so now we've come to the other side. Remember, it's always coming out of the stitch that's on the other side of the marker. So we knit that stitch. Now we're going to pick up the strand from the stitch below it. Knit right into that. Perfect. Slide that marker and knit the stitch that's coming out of it. Now let's see how we might want to do this on the purl side. You usually don't want to stack this increase on top of each other. So we're going to purl across and then just knit a plain row, and I will meet you back again on the other purls, on the next purl side. Okay, so now we're on the purl side and we want to see how to do these increases. So let's get up to our stitch marker. And remember, we want the stitch to be coming out of the stitch that's outside the marker. So we're going to purl the stitch. It looks like this is going left, but in the purl side it's opposite. So this is going to be our lifted right increase. Let's go ahead and slide that marker. There's the purl bump right below the stitch that we're coming out of, and then there's the purl bump right below that. We are going to pick that up with our left needle from bottom to top, bring the yarn up, and just purl right into it. we've purled the stitch. There's the purl bump where our yarn's coming out of, and then the one right below that. You're going to pick that up from bottom to top and purl it. That is the lifted right increase, even though it looks like it's going left because it's on the purl side. For our left leaning increase on the purl side, we're going to knit up to the stitch, and it's going to be, let me move the stitch marker. So again, it's kind of opposite. Here we're going to use our right needle and pick up the purl bump immediately under, since we have not knitted the stitch yet. So on the other one it was the second purl bump. On this one, because we had already knitted it, on this one we have not knitted it yet. So you pick it up from bottom to top, put it up on your left needle, and then this side here is what we're pulling into. You do need your yarn in front though, so bringing your yarn in front, and now we're going to purl that stitch through the back loop. We can put our stitch marker back on and purl. Back on the purl side here, for our right lifted increase, it's going to be just the opposite of what it is on the knit side. So we're going to knit that stitch on the outside, slip our marker, and now we're going to pick up that purl bump and knit it. So here we go. We're going to purl this last stitch here, and we want it to be coming out of this stitch. So we're going to pick that up with our right needle, put it on our left, and remember this one we're knitting through the back loop here, or purling through the back loop. So make sure that yarn's in front. And now we're going to purl that stitch through the back loop. And then purl the next one. And that is your left lifted increase on the purl side. So let's take a look. And you have these lovely little V-shaped increase. And it looks the same whether it was done on the right or the wrong side of the fabric. This one is my favorite way of doing increases, just because it looks very lovely, I think. And there you have it. That is the lifted left and right increase on the knit and purl side of the fabric. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found that video useful, helpful, fun, whatever adjective you want to throw in there. If you did, either like or dislike it. If you liked it, then hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye guys.